What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Ryan, and this video is going to be my updated official channel trailer. Um, as you can see, my face is kind of big for this one because I'm not really going to be going over anything technical, although you can see a really nice long setup did just play out here, an inversion setup. But yeah, so my name's Ryan, and I just want to get into a little backstory and just kind of my journey to profitability, which is, again, it's still in the works. Obviously, there's still some things I can improve on. And yeah, so where did it begin? I was sitting at my dad's house one day, and I was 16, and I'm like, I'm not working 9 to 5. That's literally what I just said. I'm like, in my head, I'm not working 9 to 5. And I'm like, how can I make money online? And it was probably like 8, 9 p.m. And I remember this day so clear. And all I typed in on YouTube was how to make money online. And I forgot the guy. I remember the guy who came up. It was some trader, and he does like content creator videos, and he gets millions of views. Um, and I'm sure if I just type in something, you'd see him. But I found this guy, and he started going over like, here's how to make money, here's what I do, whatever, and he's teaching me about the stock market, and I'm like, okay, this is interesting. And yeah, I can't find him right now, but yeah, and he made content videos, he did these challenges, and I was like, dude, this guy's making millions of dollars trading, like maybe I could do the same thing. And I ended up I ended up going on his YouTube, watching some of his videos, and he was kind of showing like how to start a bank account, how to start a savings account, whatever. And I already had all this, because my parents did it for me. And I'm like, I didn't really understand at the time. And I asked my parents, I'm like, do we have a Roth IRA? Do I have a Roth IRA? Blah blah blah. And I was asking about all these things I didn't really know about, and they're like, yeah, why are you interested? And I was only 16 at the time, so it was like, it's you don't see a lot of 16-year-olds ask about that stuff really. They're just worried about, smoking, whatever, drinking, and um, what I used to do is I played Fortnite. I was a Fortnite player. I didn't watch that many videos. I scrolled on social media, and you'd used to see like all these motivational videos like, oh, well, you're wasting 1 second of your life. I never used to see those. So I'd scroll through social media, I'd see Fortnite videos because I was a Fortnite player, and that's kind of what happened for me. And I was motivated. I was self-motivated without any social media, which is why I'm still doing this today. If I was not self-motivated, I probably would still not be here because I would have given up by now. So that is definitely something very important to understand. If you're not self-motivated, you're not gonna, like, my friends ask me like, do you like, can you teach me to trade? I can't teach you to trade because you're not going to be motivated. The only reason I'm still here is because I was self-motivated. I didn't want to work a 9 to 5, and that's really how it came about. And if you don't have that drive in you, if you're not motivated, you're gonna give up. I promise you. I've seen so many people who they're in this for a Lambo, and I'm like, you can't be in this for a Lambo. You wanna be in this to help your family. You wanna be in this to live a better life, whatever it may be. Like, you have to know the why. And I mean, for me, it was just, I'm not working a 9 to 5. That was it. I want to live a fun life. I always think like, you're only on this earth for what, 70 to 100 years average. I'm hoping I live till I'm 120, 130. We'll see. But um I didn't want to spend I don't want to spend the rest of my life just working. So I got into this game. It's a zero sum game, as you guys know. We're going against the smartest people in the world, and they're taking all our money at first. And you get better, and you have to learn, you have to be disciplined, and it's not an easy game. It's a zero sum game. I've seen this I've seen people say that a million times, and it really sticks with me. So anyways, like, I'm from a very supportive family. Like, we're all pretty close and stuff, and whatever. But um you a lot of these people, a lot of these traders that I see, they're all coming from really bad spots. I'm not really coming from a bad family. I'm not really coming from like a bad living condition, whatever. I've been blessed for sure. Like, I know there's some people on Twitter that I see that they're said they're poor when they're growing up. I wasn't necessarily poor. I had a good schooling, whatever it may be. All I thought to myself was, I don't want to work 9 to 5. So I don't really have like a crazy backstory like, oh, I was homeless, whatever it may be. And it's definitely not a interesting story as you expect, but it all started when I was on the couch. I was watching like a basketball game. I'm like, I don't want to work 9 to 5, so I started going on YouTube. I started looking up these videos. I found this guy. I'll probably think of him later after this video is done, but he always wore a hat. He wore this snow hat or a beanie or whatever, and he kind of had longer hair. It's like kind of a bowl cut hair. He's probably like 40 if I had to guess, but I always watch his videos. And what happened was I was 16, so I was hanging out with my buddies all the time. I was playing video games. So what happened is I watched like a few videos a day, and after a week, I'm like, yeah, this is boring. I'm done with this. And I looked at a chart. I'm like, yeah, this is boring. I don't know how to do this. Whatever. And I get unmotivated, and that's what you'd expect from a 16-year-old or a 16-year-old. So it made sense, but I'd get unmotivated, and that was that. And then 2 months later, same thought in my head. I don't want to work a 9 to 5. I go back on YouTube some random night. Okay. Um, Again, I'd be motivated at random times because I was still so young. I was like, oh, I want to hang out with my friends. I want to do all this other stuff, whatever it may be. And I'd watch more videos. And then I was like 17. I started working this job at a restaurant. I was a dishwasher, and I learned one of my traits in life is I'm really good at learning how to love things that may be boring, that may suck, and I learn how to love them. And that's one of the gifts that I guess God has given me. I learned to love things, no matter if I hate it or like it. At first, like again, if I hate something and I need to do it, I'll learn to love it. I learned to love school. I learned to love a lot of boring stuff. And being a dishwasher, I was like, I learned to love it. And I would have like these little like competitions with myself. I'd be like, how fast can I do this and make everything clear? How organized can I be? And I'd be getting tons of plates, and I'd keep up with everything. And it was I worked for a hometown restaurant. Okay, it was a really everyone knows it in our area. And again, it was I learned to love it. And what happened was I was like I started doing all these competitions, and it would pass by the time like I'd be like, how fast can I do whatever, blah blah blah, and it would be fun for me. And then that's when COVID happened, and the restaurant shut down, and I was one of the only people they asked to go back. I think I was the only dishwasher. Yeah, I was the only dishwasher that was asked to go back to do takeout orders and do the dishes for the chefs for takeout orders. And I'm like, why are you asking me back? Like I don't know why they didn't ask anyone else back, but I was the only one that asked back. And she said there, and the owner said they're like, well, you've proven that you're probably one of the best dishwashers here. Like you're like you do everything fast, you're efficient. Like they said, I had a really good system, and I did. Okay, I figure out how to do things really efficiently. Okay, and I learned that from my uncle. But um, I just they invited me back. I was still on the payroll, and everyone else got kicked off and let go. And probably 6 months went by, the COVID regulations, they wouldn't let the restaurant open up again. And then finally, COVID lifted some precautions, and the restaurant got to open up again. So what do? We had no dishwashers, so I invite all my friends to work there, and that's really when it started really getting fun. And we had a blast. We played music, whatever, and it was really fun. That was such a good time in my life. I honestly enjoyed going to work and dishwashing, and even though I enjoyed it, I still started to watch videos, and the whole AMC thing happened. So I was kind of in trading. I was looking at charts and how to make money before the AMC and GME thing. If you don't know what that is, basically there was a short squeeze in AMC and um, GME, GameStop, and I'm sure you guys have heard it, but if you hadn't, look it up. It was a big thing. And at the time, I I was about to turn 18. Was a dishwasher from 16 to 17, and I downloaded Cash App because it was like a couple weeks before my birthday, and I was about to turn 18. So I'm like, oh, I might download Cash App, see if I could get into some AMC, because at the time GME had already squeezed. And I wasn't that stupid. I'm not gonna buy a GMU when it's at $400. I kind of did my research on YouTube, and I, after watching so many videos, it's like, okay, this is I know I wasn't dumb. I'm not a dumb person. I troll people a lot and pretend like I'm dumb, but it's funny when they find out when I'm actually kind of smart because I don't know, I'm just like that. So I didn't buy GME and I saw AMC was at like $4. I'm like, okay, well, everyone on Reddit, everyone on the Wall Street Bets, which I was on Reddit at the time too, because I used to had Reddit for like Fortnite and other things. You know, I go on Fortnite, the Fortnite community or whatever, and I would I would go on Reddit, type in AMC, and see what all these people are saying about it. And they're like, "Oh, it's gonna squeeze like GameStop did." And that's when I was like, What even is a short squeeze?" And I started watching a YouTube video on that. And I kid you not, I did not understand what a short squeeze was. There's so many videos I watched, and no one could explain it to the point where I understood it. So either one, I was too new, or two, I was just dumb, which I don't know. The way people explained it made it sound so bad. I don't know. Like every single video I watched, they couldn't explain it in a way that everyone's gonna understand that. And I have the ability to do that. A lot of things I explain, I can very I can dumb it down very or I can dumb it down a lot. And I just didn't understand it. I obviously understand it now, but the way people explained it just made it so confusing. I could literally explain it in under a minute, and these people were taking like 6 minutes to explain it. I'm like, how do these people get views? I just didn't understand it. So there's that. I got an AMC. I downloaded Cash App, and I'm like, all right. I put like $200 in it from work, from dishwashing. I put $200 in AMC, and it was at $4. And all of a sudden, I was in lunch in my senior year in the cafeteria. I opened my Cash App because I saw AMC was squeezing, and it was at $9. And I turned my $200 into $400. I wasn't in options. I was just in shares. I didn't even know what options were at the time. And I was up like $200. I'm like, oh my god! And I sold immediately. The second I saw I was up $200, I sold immediately. Why is that so important? Because to me, I think there's two people in this world. There's the people who are greedy and want a Lambo, want $1 million, and they're gonna hold. And there's people who are happy with their success. And at the time, I didn't understand trading. I didn't understand like take profits and I should have a target on the chart. I just sold out of happiness and I was up $200. And looking back at it now, a lot of people like got bagged on that because they held it. They're like, "Oh, it's gonna go up more." That was never a thought in my brain. The thought immediately in my brain when I didn't know how to trade was, "I'm up $200. I'm selling. This is great." And I did miss out on another $2,000 because it did go up to like 40 after I think 70. Yeah, I went up to 70 after, so I missed out on some more money. But I was not mad at all. Like I was like, I just made $200, and it meant a lot to me. And my brain was already wired that way, and it still is to this day. I am not one who's I know when to hold runners and I know when not to hold runners. I'm not just gonna hold after my take profit hits. I have a plan, and I was so happy at the time where I sold for $200. That was it. I wasn't one of the greedy people who tried to hold thinking it was gonna go to 1,000. I don't know why my brain just wasn't wired that way apparently, and I guess that's a good thing. So, um, that was that, and I guess I'm really grateful because I just don't. I can't get it in people's heads who think, "Oh, we're gonna go to $1,000." Like people actually believe that on GME. I'm like, there's no shot, and people legitimately believed it, and it just I don't know. There's people to this day who still think AMC is going to $1 million, which is never gonna happen. Um, and I just don't understand, and they don't have take profits. I feel so bad for them, and since that day, it's kind of told me, okay, here's how my brain's wired. I'm gonna translate this into trading now. And if you guys didn't know, I had another channel called Dodgy FN. It was a Fortnite channel. I used to play Fortnite. I was like a semi-pro. Had some earnings. Not, I wasn't really. I mean, I wasn't a professional or anything, but I know. I mean, I played a lot. I played a lot. I started on Xbox, and then I never even had a PC for the longest time, and I was like a really good Fortnite player. I play with someone now occasionally. I kind of retired now, but I don't really play anymore. But I met people through trading who have like tens of thousands of earnings, and they came to trading. And I even play with someone now, and I talk to him a lot, almost every day. he went to the New York City for the World Cup, and obviously I'm better than him at Fortnite because he stopped playing long after. But it's kind of cool because all these guys who used to play these video games like Fortnite, they actually came to trading, and I met them through my Discord. And it's really cool. And obviously, if you guys don't know this, I live stream every day, and I'll be like, who's coming from, who played video games, and a lot of people will be like, yeah, I'm coming from video games. And the people, it's like the same group of people. They all play video games. They want to have fun in life, and one day they realize they didn't want to work a 9 to 5, and they come to trading because this is what YouTube recommend. This is the algorithm on YouTube. When they say how to make money, there's always something in the stock market. So anyways, that's that. And then I got into options, and I started with penny stocks. Like, all I knew was AMC, and I'm like, wait a minute, if AMC is $4 and it just went to $9, let me see if I can find a penny stock that's at $1 and goes to like $5. So I started trading penny stocks, and I found a bunch of, and I downloaded Twitter because I already had Fortnite Twitter. I was on Twitter for Fortnite, and I'm like, okay, if there's a Fortnite community, there's got to be a Twitter community. And that, my friends, is when I met and ran into Atlas. And I'm like, oh, Atlas is amazing. I joined their Discord. I joined their pumps, and I didn't know their pumps at the time, obviously. But I was like, oh, this is so easy money. I'll just take what they learned, and everyone else buys and it goes up. And that's what I thought. I bought CEI, I bought Wish, I bought all these different things. I mean, my favorite one was what is it called? Blackberry? Um BBBY or something. And I always thought that would be the next squeeze after AMC. So that was kind of mine. And then little I realized, and it did squeeze a little bit, but not really that much. I didn't understand what the term short squeeze versus, oh, we're gonna go from $1 to $5 versus like, we're gonna go from $2 to $400 like GME. I thought that was like a normal thing at the time, which I didn't realize that wasn't. So I kind of got into that. I got into options after penny stocks, and my biggest penny stock win was started with PH fat, or it was some started with PH, and I got like 200%. I'll think of it later, but got like 200% on it. I'm like, oh, this is great. And then penny stocks died because of seasonality, and they just died. There was no volume in them, and I was like, dude, this sucks. And they got dry, so I went to options. I'm like, oh, if I can't make money on penny stocks, and I was actually profitable trading penny stocks. You'd be surprised. I don't know how I was profitable. I learned where the stop loss was. I was kind of profitable in penny stocks. Then I went to options. This is where I blew my money. So I lost about 2,000 trading options. Did some really dumb stuff, revenge trading. It's just, I'd get really mad at Theta, and this is where I was like, well, I was good at penny stocks, so I'm gonna start an options YouTube channel. And I didn't know options. I didn't know I'd be unprofitable in options. I was profitable in penny stocks. So I was like, how can I be unprofitable in options? And I started making content like, here's what a stop loss order is here. And I enjoyed making content. I wasn't doing this for money. I enjoyed making it. And this is my same YouTube channel I have today. And I'm like, oh, this is going to be easy. I'm going to just make content, and this is going to be fun. And I wasn't doing it for money. I was doing it because I enjoyed it. Same with Fortnite. I didn't make any money doing Fortnite. I made Fortnite content because I enjoyed it. I enjoyed editing. I enjoyed making montages, whatever it may be. And I was making content, whatever, and everyone was, and I was trying to get followers on Twitter, whatever. I don't even know what I did. I just posted a lot of threads and whatever because I generally have a passion for making content. A lot of my family works in schooling systems, are all teachers. So I guess it comes from that. I mean, it's nice. It's a nice side income, of course, but money or not, I made content without the money aspect of it. And that's why I'm passionate about it. Like, I don't need the money to make content. It's fun for me. I find value in helping other people and making content. Like, it's just, you have it or you don't. You can tell if someone's not passionate about making content and they're just doing it for money. It's so obvious to tell. Like, if I notice that, I click off their YouTube video. I'm not watching that. Like, they're not even passionate about what they're teaching. So that's kind of where that started. So I made all these videos. They're probably still on my YouTube channel. I just haven't gone back that far. And it was like how to trade options. I use Webull, and the one thing I loved is the Webull, like, refer a friend. I'm texting all my buddies. I'm like, oh, we can get free money if I refer a friend. And little do I know I have to pay taxes on them. This is when I started learning about taxes. And I got all this money from referring friends. I'm like, oh, this is great. So I just started buying a bunch of stuff, like, and just I put so much money into like Apple options. I do like zero GTEs, and I trade all these stocks like Tesla, zero GTEs, like really cheap out of the money ones, and it would not go well. That's all I'm gonna say. I didn't know how to size. I wasn't sizing the same, whatever, and that was that. And then one day on Twitter, I'm looking at these guys and they're all trading SPY. And I asked Twitter, I tweeted this. I'm like, is there people who only trade SPY every day? And at this time, I never touched SPY, but I saw people trade it. And this was like the first tweet that kind of on my Twitter account kind of blew up. It got like 300 likes, which is not much, but it was the first tweet where it got a decent amount of likes. And I'm like, everyone was replying, yes, that's all I trade, blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm like, interesting. So there's people who just sit in the market. They don't watch Apple. They don't watch Tesla, which that was my interpretation of the market before. And they only trade SPY. And I'm like, interesting. Maybe I should start doing that. So I started trading SPY options, and I'm like, I'm gonna only look at this every day. And I realized, I'm like, okay, after like 3 weeks, I realized, I'm like, SPY is actually really clean. It's like, and you don't have to focus on too many things. And I was consistently making money options trading SPY, and I was like, oh, this is great. And then I was like, my ego kind of got a boost. I started just sizing up on SPY, and I'd get emotional. I'd revenge trade, and then I lost it all again. And for one point, I was profitable, and then I wasn't. And that's when I started the I'm gonna join Discord servers and pay for other people's Discord servers kind of era. And this is when I was about, I think, I was like late 18 or early 19 when this was happening. I'm about to be 22 now, so um, I've been doing ICT more than 2 years now, which is way more time than a lot of other people. And I'm very smart and pick up things fast. So that's why I'm so good at it, obviously. But that's when I started joining. I joined like probably 10, 15 Discords. To this day, I don't think I would recommend a single one I joined. I wasn't in there for more than 2 months. I just didn't like any of them. They're all alerts. Some of them were good alerts and I could make money off them, but I quickly realized, I'm like, one of the guys alerted an option trade for a swing, and it's like, oh, up 50% here, but he didn't say he was selling. I'm like, so are you selling? And he's like, no, I have a plan. And I'm like, dude, how can you not sell? It's 50%, and I sold. And he ends up selling like 3 weeks later for 300%, and I'm like, how was I supposed to know it was going to go there? And that's when I realized the flaw in Discord systems. I'm like, okay, wait a minute. They had their own plan. I'm not even gonna know what I'm just following their alert, and I'm gonna just play based off of what I think, and I don't know what they're thinking. And that was when I stopped joining Discord servers. So I'm like, how is this gonna help me? Especially that every single one I joined was just a straight up alert service, and they wouldn't teach me anything. I mean, they have occasional classes, but if you ever watched a class, a lot of the Discord servers I joined, they're all classes on like different things. They always took different like for me, I just take one model, that's it. I teach the same thing over and over again. They always took 50 different set, like cup and handle here, inverse head and shoulders here. They trade 50 million chart patterns. I'm like, how are you trading all these different things? Like, how do you know when they're going to work? And I just didn't understand it. And um that's when I think one day, after leaving all these discords or whatever, I was just struggling. Okay, I was unprofitable at this point. I lost $2,000. I didn't really know what to do, and um, I don't know. I don't remember this exactly, but it was either my friend David or this guy named DC, which I still text to this day. They kind of they said, "Yo, you should learn this new strategy," and I'm like, "What is it?" And they go, "This dude or this guy is making content for his daughter when she's older." That's what they said to me. I'm like, "Okay, send me the videos." And they sent me the 2022 mentorship, but it wasn't the 2022 mentorship. It was other videos, and I thought I thought it was the 2022 mentorship, but it was videos. But he didn't even upload the 2022 mentorship yet at this point. It was like some random videos on his YouTube, which he did not have that many subscribers. And it was also, and this guy named David, he was in ICT's mentorship. He was a charter member. he sent me the mega file. So it wasn't the YouTube. This was before the 2022 membership. He sent me the mega files. He's like, dude, I paid $1,000 for this. Please do not tell anyone. And I'm like, okay. So I started watching it, and there's like 50-minute videos. I'm like, dude, I'm not watching this. Like, this is guys full of BS. Like, this is just another Discord seller or whatever. And I didn't understand who ICT was at the time. And I started watching the videos. He starts talking about, okay, here's a fair value gap. And I did not know what a fair value gap was. And I was like, dude, this is so dumb. This guy's just ranting. And I still remember what a fair value gap was. It was like locked in my head. And I went in that next week. I traded the VWAP 9 and 21 EMA. I had a little system. I would buy it VWAP if I felt like the trend was up and we pulled back. I'd buy it VWAP, and as long as it like matched up with like the 9 EMA, I'd buy. And I remember I bought, and I'm like, wait a minute, this is a fair value gap too. I saw it kind of lined up, and I'm like, wait a minute, this is what this ICT dude was saying. And this is what I mean by pick up things fast. I did not try to learn the fair value gap. I just remembered it by accident. And I'm like, wait a minute, this is actually kind of like valid. So I start going to the charts, and I start looking at all these other fair value gaps, and I noticed someone failed, but someone work. And I'm like, maybe he is on something. And knowing what a fair value gap was knowing what a fair value gap was at this time was like super cool to me. And I'm like, oh my God, like the thing that made me like, oh my God, this is actually working was it was not a supply and demand zone, which I tried using supply and demand for a while. It was a little box. You draw it the same way every time. It was very objective. So obviously if I just move my chart over, and I love that. I'm like, dude, this is literally a signature in the chart that doesn't use a random line of an average. I'm like, this is live. Like, I can see this live. I can see us reacting to it live. And I was like, what if I just use these and don't use the 9 EMA, which is lagging, and just because some days like the market would just go through VWAP, go through EMAs. I just wouldn't understand it, and some days it wouldn't. And I'm like, dude, what is this BS? Like, I could not deal with it. I'm OCD, and if I see price like, if I ever saw price just disrespect the 9 EMA 50 times in a day, I'd take it off my chart. I couldn't stand it. And I saw this fair value gap. I'm like, no way. The market's actually kind of respecting this little box thing that this ICT dude's talking about. And that was the moment that's like, okay, I'm going to watch his videos again. And I just started grinding his videos. And I'm like, I took notes. I got a little notebook. I started taking notes on them. And he said the demo trade. And of course, I didn't listen to that because I'm an idiot. And I was like, okay, how do I trade futures? Because he's cheating futures. And I saw people I used to follow this guy on Twitter. His name was Spy Guy. And he was like the only person on Twitter at the time who traded indicators and moved the futures. He was like, oh, I could trade overnight. This is great. And I'm like, okay, what's futures? I don't understand. I thought it was some super complicated thing. I even at one point I thought the futures were going to tell us the future of the market. I know everyone probably thought that at one point, but I looked up on YouTube. I'm like, okay, how do I trade futures? And it kind of said, okay, you buy in contracts. It's like, okay, this is kind of similar to options. And the thing I liked was there's no theta, and it's just a contract. You get in at a price, and that's it. So I downloaded a Tradeify account. I put live money in. I started trying to trade the 2022 model based off what ICT told me. And I started off really, really well. Really well. Okay. And one of the interesting things about me is when I first started trading in this market, I would use I would use market structure. That's all I used. I didn't have anything in my chart. I didn't know what indicators were. I'd use market structure. That's it. And I mainly do it on penny stocks. And I did better trading market structure. And then I started slowly adding indicators and more indicators like VWAP, MACD, whatever. And that's when I started getting profitable. So it was kind of like I started with nothing, went to indicators, and now I'm back at nothing again. And I started doing I started doing pretty well for myself. I'm like, okay, this is actually kind of cool. And I started taking all these 2022 models. And my main issue was he taught the breaker block, he taught the mitigation block. I was trying to learn all these at once. I'm like, so what happened was I started off with the 2022 model. I did well, and then I started doing worse again because I tried to take the breaker, I tried to take a mitigation, and I try to get these all lined up because I'm like, hey, if this all lines up, it's going to work every time. And little did I understand that I didn't know to draw on liquidity. I didn't know how to figure out the draw on liquidity. And that's when my friend T Trades, I knew T Trades way before he even started ICT. Like he was making, I knew T Trades when he's doing, like, he was making this support and resistance indicator based off like the strat, and I did use the strat at some point. I don't, it's just kind of blurred. I did use a strat. I'm assuming a lot of you did too. And I met T Trades, and he started making these videos on YouTube, like simplified ICT concepts. And this was kind of way after I started learning ICT, because when I started learning ICT, the 2022 mentorship wasn't even out yet. And the funny thing is, when it wasn't out on my Twitter, I'd post all these like little reviews of the day, and I'd be like, oh, here's some, and I do it on TrendSpider because I had a partnership with TrendSpider, another charting platform. And I draw, oh, this is the demand zone. I draw all these things in hindsight. And yeah, I never played these in live time because it was all different stuff. I didn't know what was going to happen. I mean, now I do. But back then, it was just all hindsight. And I posted all these chart reviews. And while I was learning ICT, I pretended I was using indicator still. And I ended up making a private Twitter account, and I called it Buy Knives Short Pumps, because that's when I truly understood what liquidity was after watching ICT. And it got like 200 followers. A bunch of private people started talking about it. And I go, guys, do not tell anyone, but start using this ICT strat. Do not post it on your public Twitter, though. I don't want that. Like, this is like legit concepts. And I've never done that before. I did not say that about indicators, but these were like too good to be true. I was seeing them work in live timer every day. And I was like telling people, I'm like, do not talk about this. And people were calling me clown, like clown, because they're like, well, dude, this guy's been teaching this. Like, I don't even know what they're saying, but they're making fun of me for gatekeeping this or whatever. But um, that was when ICT, like a few months later, he started his first episode of the 2022 mentorship, and I started watching that. And I got to video like 7, and I almost gave up again because they're so long. But I took notes. I still have them to this day. I'll probably show them at some point. But um, and I started watching like one a week. I just couldn't with his rants. They're so boring. And I learned as much as I learned from ICT. I skipped some of his videos. I fast forwarded them. I learned the most in live time based off what he's teaching. I pick up things really fast. The number one thing that definitely helped me was I saw what he was talking about in the charts, and I didn't watch his video. And once I knew that, I knew, like, I had the key to profitability even without watching all his videos. He mentioned the fair value gap, highs and lows. That's all I really needed. And I started seeing the same thing over and over and over again. I see us at buy side, get a 2022 model, and I'm like, okay, this is something I can now I have the key. Now I don't really need to watch his videos, and I just started back testing and forward testing. And I hate back testing, but forward testing, I watch the market every day. I was on a paper account for a decent amount when I did this, and I mean, I started forward testing a ton, and I just started picking it up and picking it up. And it wasn't until like halfway through, I think it was like May 2022. I think he was almost done with the mentor. I don't even know what happened. He was probably in episode like 20 or 25, wherever episode he was on May 2022. I tweeted this. I'm like, and at the time I probably had under like 3,000 followers. I'm like, the real secret or something. I'm like, if you want to get good at trading, use an inverse fair value gap. And I tweeted this in May 2022. I can probably pull up this tweet. Maybe it was April. And this is when I started noticing, I'm like, the 2022 model started to fail a little bit. And I'm like, is it just me or is it really failing? And I'm like, maybe it's just a fair value gap that's not a 2022 model. And that's what I kind of concluded over the years. I know the difference now. I mean, I've traded so long where I know the 2022 model when I see it, but I don't see it too much anymore. I mean, don't get me wrong, you still get a lot of them, but you get a lot more inversions. And I was like, if you want to do good, start trading when a fair value gap gets broken. And I did like the shh emoji, because I was like, this is actually great. I'm just using the inverse of this, because every single time I got in a trade, and if it was a fail, it was a big fail. So I'd get in the trade, and an example would be this. Like, let's say I shorted this, and I'd get stop out. I would notice we'd go way to the opposite side. So I'm like, wait a minute, what if I just start taking the break of these? So I tried that, and I got really good at it. And that's when, and I didn't have the rules like, oh, use a singular fair value gap. Like, I was looking at the market in terms of inversions. I was literally just taking every broken fair value gap I saw. And this is an assignment I'm doing in my Discord this week. It's a homework assignment. I'm telling them, I'm like, take every single one you see break, and it's gonna help you. And that's essentially how I started off. I took everything that broke, and I started creating my own rules. Like, okay, I'm not gonna long with equal lows. I'm not gonna short with equal highs because I noticed they'd fail more. And I'd start creating these little rules for this model. And in a year, I just slowly transformed it into a checklist. I started making YouTube videos on it. I was making YouTube videos on other concepts before, like breaker block, whatever. Just again, I would just make them to make them because I enjoyed making content. And I slowly started to default to this inversion model, and I was taking 50% inversion model plays and 50% 2022 models. And every single time I journaled, it was always the 2022 model that I failed at. But that's because I was looking at it as a pattern at the time, and now I know the difference. And I look at the market in terms of liquidity. But I notice, I'm like, okay, 50% of my wins are all from inversions, and the other 50% is all losses from 2022. I'm just gonna start taking inversions. So that's what I did. And there was a period in time where I would execute 50 times in some sort of consolidation. So I'd have like 50 arrows here because I tried thinking like, oh, here's an inversion model, but like, I don't know, like we'd get a green candle, then a red candle, and I'd be emotional. And this was all on a live account. So I had to redefine my model. I had to get more screen time, and I just kept going at it. And I started to see these IVGs play out so much. That's when I started to kind of make up my rules. Like, okay, I notice it works best when it's a super obvious one. And the only reason I say that is because I asked myself, like, is this a bearish fair value gap I would have shorted when I first started watching ICT? And if the answer was yes, I took it when it broke. And that's kind of where I started basing the model off of. And I noticed the best ones we got of those were the singular ones, and they were super obvious. Like, they're so obvious that a newer trader who learns the fair value gap is going to obviously short it. And I made up all these rules, and I'm like, okay, let me see what the best rules are going to be for me. And that's when I started making the videos, a checklist on them, and that's really how it started originating. And ever since then, I've just been using inversion for value gaps for so long. I mean, I'll take an occasional 2022 model, but it's never my live account. I mean, my live account, I only take inversions. It's the only thing worth it. And I started creating rules. I used to have a horrible psychology. It's way better now. I I'd have PST. I used to have PTSD from losing so much, so I'd be scared to take a trade. Obviously, I have now I take a lot of winning trades where I hate losing. That it kind of switched up. But there was a time where I would be scared of taking a trade, and I even messaged T Trades about this on Twitter. I'm like, dude, I'm so scared of taking a trade. And his advice was take every single trade you see because it's gonna make you less fearful. So I started doing that. It started helping a little bit, and it wasn't until again, there's no solid advice I can tell you guys besides like it's gonna take time. Time was my number one thing to help me. Like there was never like people said stuff and it helped, but if I had ever given up, like I would have been mad at myself. Like if I talked to little me and I gave up, I would have been mad at myself. The fact that I didn't give up is why I'm still here. I didn't understand. It just takes so much time to get this signature and price down. I mean, one of my first breakthroughs at kind of teaching, or one of my first breakthroughs I kind of posted on Twitter was I always notice something. I always notice we get consolidation, and if we ever got like this consolidation and then a massive red candle out of nowhere, I'd tell people, I'm like, do not short that candle. Do not short that retracement. Because it was something I saw so much and I saw us just rip back through it. And I'm like, if you ever see this little pattern here, which at the time I didn't really know was AMD, and it was just, I told them not to short it. And I'm like, how do I know this? Because I've seen it so much. And it wasn't until time I understood that. And it's so, I can't express enough how important screen time is. So, yeah, and then I started getting so good at like one second, I get a cough. I started getting so good at like just by the way, this is a long setup right here, as you guys can see. I'll take this on paper. I started getting so good at just setups, and hopefully we close above this. I started getting so good at setups and signals and just plays in general. I'm like, and I would go like 20-5. I'd have like 20 wins in the 1 month, 5 losses. And I'm like, I used to join all these Discord servers. Now I'm going to try to create my own Discord server. But by the way, I created my own Discord server for free back when I traded like retail concepts. By the way, we did not close above this, so I'm just going to get out if we don't close above. I had my own Discord. It got about 1,000 members, and then I kind of just became inactive because that's when I started learning ICT. So I deleted that server, but I made a new server. I'm like, okay, this could be an ICT dedicated. And at this time, I stopped gatekeeping ICT because ICT was uploading the videos and he had Twitter and he was going crazy on Twitter. So I'm like, okay, it's probably fine to post my public Twitter. So I made an announcement. I'm like, by the way, guys, I haven't been using retail concepts anymore. I've been using something called ICT. And that's really when I started to gain a little bit of following. I started posting like educational ICT threads, whatever. And, I mean, yeah, that was that. But I mean, the number one thing I can't express enough is time. Like there are signatures on price where I just, um, again, I just started recognize, and I picked that up very quickly. And I was always a good student in school, but that really didn't translate to the charts. It doesn't matter if you have 4.0 GPA, whatever it may be. Like, I mean, my time, I spent so much time in school, like doing all my work, like it just doesn't help. Um, it doesn't help. Like, I know very dumb people who would probably be good at trading because that's just how trading is. It doesn't matter how smart you are. It doesn't matter. Like, you can't give up. I would have been mad at I wouldn't have been mad at myself if I gave up because I would not have known how successful I would be now. But it's a lot of screen time. It's a lot of recognition. And the one thing that really made me more profitable is being in the market and playing a pattern versus reading liquidity. I used to play way too many patterns when I started ICT, and I treat everything single thing as a pattern, and that was my issue. And I was like, okay, all these people are using liquidity. I should probably use liquidity, and it takes time, but it was worth it. And I'm like, okay, before I even look for a model, I'm gonna try to see like, I'm gonna look for equal highs. I'm gonna look for equal lows. And it's just, I saw the market attract to these spots so many times over and over and over and over again. And it just, that's really what helped me like have trust in the setups I started to take, because I never trusted anything when I started learning ICT. The one thing he said is, don't listen to what I'm teaching you, go in the charts and make sure that what I'm teaching you is accurate. And that's what I did. It took me probably 6 months to just make sure it was accurate. And it was, okay. As he said, everything he taught was true. And that was that. So here we are now. I started obviously my own Discord. I went like 20 wins and 5 losses in a month. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try to start a Discord. I started my Discord the beginning of 2023, January. So it's only been about a year, which hasn't been that long. I'm like, I'm too good. I can make a side income and start giving signals out to people. And I wasn't really focused on the education aspect because I made YouTube videos. And when I first started my Discord, I never streamed. I just would signal bot. And I noticed I'm like, and I would have very profitable months. And um people would leave my Discord. I'm like, why are you leaving? It's literally, I made it $15 a month, which some people in my Discord are in for $15 a month. I mean, there's probably like 20 of them left. But there's like these people that are leaving. I'm like, why are they leaving? And I didn't understand. Like, I was not really providing any value. I was signal botting. I was doing exactly what I said I want to do, and doing exactly what the Discords did when I joined. And I realized, I'm like, maybe I should start live streaming. And that's when I started live streaming like twice a week. And they liked it. And I'm like, this is actually kind of fun. And the thing that I realized about live streaming is it doesn't make you do stupid stuff. You're not alone. You're holding yourself accountable to however many people are watching you. And I don't do stupid stuff. So I'm like, I'm gonna live stream every day. So 2 months go by and I started live streaming every day. And again, I was just posting threads, content. I was having fun making it. I wasn't really making that much money off of it, but started posting on YouTube and Twitter and just a lot. And again, I started to gain a little bit of following. There was probably 50 people in my live stream for like a while, like 3 4 months. It never really went up. And then it slowly got to like 100, 200. And now, I mean, as of recently, there's like 500, 600 people who watch me, which is, crazy to think about. But ICT, if you haven't watched his videos, like the Ends Meet series in episode 2, he literally says like, if you're good at signals and you're good at knowing where the market's gonna go, and I would say I am, then he said there's nothing wrong with starting alert or signal service or whatever it may be, and that's perfectly fine. And a lot of people they give me hate for it, which I get because they're like, oh, show your tax statements. I'm not showing my tax statements. I literally live trade. You don't need to see my. That's just weird. I'm not gonna show random people on the internet my tax statements. Like, I don't understand why people ask for that. If you can tell, if I've been profitable over a year live streaming, like people have watched me with their own eyes. Like I'm clearly profitable on live stream. They can watch me live trade, and that's that. I don't need to show a tax, like showing tax statements to the internet is just, I'm not doing that ever. I don't know. That's why people don't do it. Why would you just show that? Okay, you're gonna, first of all, you're probably gonna dox yourself. Like, it's just not smart. So I prove that I can live trade through 400 or 500 people when I live trade online. I know what I'm doing. They see it every day. They witness it every day in live time. Like, and that's that. But I mean, yeah, that's where I kind of at. I'm kind of at that point now. I mean, I'm still making content. I just started like an Instagram, so I'm making content there. But I find it fun. Um, Again, I still have a long ways to go. Um, I mean, the one thing still kind of struggle with is holding for like 100, 200 point moves. Like, you don't need to. You don't need to hold for a 100 point move. I don't care what anyone says. I can hold for a 15 point move. That's enough. But it would be nice to maybe hold a runner for like a 200, 300 point move here and there. But that's something that's obviously going to take screen time. It's like, obviously that's not really something that's really important. But yeah, that's kind of my story. Um, I mean, if anyone got this far, let me know. Comment the word volume if you got this far. I'm interested. So that's my story. That's my channel trailer. I live stream every single day, my Discord. And obviously I post on Instagram, TikTok, whatever. And that's my story. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know if you guys have any questions, and hopefully we'll see if this long plays out. I know, I mean, we should definitely go hit these equal highs here, but we'll see if we can get it as a break even trade. But that's it for now. I'll see you guys out later, and peace.